Welcome to This Explainer. You know, what if the US government is hiding something that could literally change absolutely everything we know about life in the universe? It's a question that's captivated us for generations. Deep out in the Nevada desert, there's a military base that is so heavily guarded and so deeply classified that for decades the government flat out refused to even admit it existed. Today, of course, we all know it as Area 51, and it's exactly that intense secrecy that has birthed the world's absolute biggest UFO mystery. Naturally, all that immense secrecy begs the ultimate question. What on earth is the government actually hiding behind those fences? Are we talking crashed spaceships, alien bodies being secretly poked and prodded in underground labs? Or is the reality something far more grounded but honestly equally fascinating? Okay, let's dive into this and begin a chronological investigation into the actual truth so we can finally separate the verified facts from the persistent fiction. Section 1. The birth of a mystery. To really understand the whole Area 51 phenomenon, we actually have to step back in time a bit, to 1947. A mysterious object crashed near Roswell, New Mexico. At first, the military came right out and publicly announced they had recovered a flying disc. Wow, right? But then, literally within a matter of hours, officials drastically changed their story. Suddenly, they claimed it was just a weather balloon. I mean, imagine being the public hearing that. That jarring narrative reversal was the exact spark that ignited decades of conspiracy theories. People started believing that the debris from that crash, and maybe even extraterrestrial bodies, were secretly packed up and transported to a secure location for investigation. And in the public's imagination, that secure location eventually became Area 51. Although it is super important to note here that no verified evidence has ever actually confirmed this claim. So, the lore escalated really quickly. As we can see, it starts with the Roswell Incident in 1947, totally planting that initial seed of suspicion. But here's the thing. Area 51 itself wasn't actually established until 1955. It was set up right during the height of the Cold War, tucked away securely inside the Nevada Test and Training Range, completely walled off by rugged mountains and miles of restricted land. Then, our timeline jumps to 1989, which is a massive, pivotal year for the base's public notoriety, and we'll get into that in just a moment. Yes, people were definitely reporting incredible things in the skies back then, but let's look at what was actually happening on the ground. The real, confirmed purpose of establishing Area 51 in 1955 was to test highly classified military aircraft. We're talking about the famous U-2 spy plane, and later on, the incredibly advanced SR-71 Blackbird. Now, because these revolutionary planes flew near the very edge of space at literally 3 times the speed of sound, which was way higher and faster than anything the public had ever seen before, many people genuinely mistook them for alien ships. So that extreme Cold War secrecy surrounding these defense projects, it created the absolute perfect environment for extraterrestrial rumors to just take root and spread like wildfire. Moving on to Section 2. Strange lights, explosive claims. As those rumors grew, this remote desert base started drawing some serious attention. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, the legend had spread so much that thousands of people actually began flocking to the Nevada desert. They were camping out right near the restricted zone, just hoping to catch a glimpse of something out of this world. And man, look at what these witnesses reported seeing. We've got accounts of silent, glowing objects, extremely fast lights darting across the horizon, aircraft making absolutely impossible aerodynamic turns, and these bright, triangular shapes just hovering silently in the night sky. Now, while a lot of researchers suspect these sightings were simply the next generation of classified military aircraft being tested, others looked at those exact same details and remained utterly convinced they were witnessing something way more mysterious. So the whole conversation shifted from quiet desert whispers to massive global headlines in 1989. That is when a man named Bob Lazar stepped forward with some truly explosive claims. He stated, on the record, that the U.S. government possesses multiple alien spacecraft. Lazar claimed he had personally worked at a highly secret facility called S4, supposedly located just south of Area 51. And according to him, engineers there were actively trying to reverse engineer extraterrestrial propulsion systems using a highly unusual element. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how his spectacular story is what truly made Area 51 famous worldwide. It put it on the map. However, it's totally vital to point out that many parts of his background and his employment history have never, ever been independently verified, so experts remain pretty sharply divided over the truth of his claims. Which brings us to Section 3. The government finally speaks. So after decades of swirling rumors and explosive late-night television interviews, we finally reached a massive turning point. For the longest time, the official stance of the US government was just total, absolute silence. They flatly refused to even acknowledge Area 51. But then, a milestone moment in 2013, declassified CIA documents were officially released that finally confirmed, yes, Area 51 exists. These documents detailed the history of the base, explicitly explaining that it had been used to develop and test secret spy aircraft. But what was noticeably missing? Well, the documents didn't contain a single mention of aliens, crash disks, or extraterrestrial technology. Nada. Yet, even with this official confirmation of its strictly military purpose, for a whole lot of believers out there, the mystery was far from over.
Section 4. The Shift to UAPs.
Let's see how all of this builds into our modern understanding of these aerial mysteries. Because in recent years, we've actually seen a significant shift in how the government even talks about this stuff. Instead of using the classic term UFO, unidentified flying object, officials and military personnel now largely use the term UAP, which stands for Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena. This terminology shift is really designed to demystify the topic, kind of moving it away from all that pop culture baggage and treating it as a very serious matter of airspace security. Because military pilots have indeed recorded and sometimes released videos of unusual objects displaying flight characteristics that, frankly, still remain completely unexplained.
But we absolutely have to stick strictly to the facts here. While these modern videos definitely show unusual and pretty baffling flight characteristics, official investigators have not concluded that these objects are extraterrestrial. Most of these cases remain unexplained primarily due to limited data, things like a blurry camera or just a fleeting radar track. It's not because they've been confirmed as alien craft. It's super important to remember that a lack of an explanation doesn't automatically equal an extraterrestrial origin.
And that takes us to Section 5, the Enduring Desert Enigma. This brings our explainer to its climax as we look at where Area 51 stands today. So the crucial point is this. When we ask if Area 51 is hiding aliens, we're really looking at two main possibilities here. The first is the simplest reality, that Area 51 has always been exactly what the CIA claimed back in 2013, a top-secret military testing facility, and its intense, strictly required secrecy just naturally fueled the public's imagination. The second possibility is the extraordinary claim that somewhere behind those heavily guarded gates lies technology that was not made by human hands. But we must remember that, to date, there is absolutely zero publicly verified evidence proving that aliens or alien spacecraft are stored at Area 51. The mystery continues simply because the evidence remains incomplete, not because the extraterrestrial claims have ever been confirmed. Area 51 remains one of the most famous and undoubtedly most restricted secret military locations on Earth. Whether it hides the next generation of advanced human aircraft or, honestly, nothing more than mundane classified defense projects, one thing is absolutely certain. As long as those gates stay closed to the public, the questions are never going to disappear. Which leaves us with one final thought to ponder. Is it possible that the intense secrecy meant to hide Area 51 from the world is exactly what keeps its powerful legend alive today?